Peace out. Grand Rising. Q&A. Grand Rising. All right. Peace, 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 peace. Okay, so it's 9 a.m. This is a live for all the people that's enrolled in the Goddess Awakening class. But you are welcome to stay. You are welcome to stay. Peace. I'm not doing too loud. My little bunny be running. She be on flight when I ring the bell. Peace, y'all. Peace, peace, peace. All right, y'all. This is the last week. This is week 4 of Goddess Awakening for the ones that enrolled in the October class. I appreciate y'all. I hope that you learned something very valuable throughout this particular course. This week was about higher power and my closing thoughts, which is the spiritual aspect. How long do you have to access all of your material? You have a good minute. Especially you at least have another month because it'll be up for the whole month of November as well. I do highly suggest those of y'all who are in the class to go ahead and print it out. Okay. King Chash, yes, there is a November class for the ones that are on here. November class starts November 1st. So you have to sign up before November 1st. Okay. And it's 4 weeks. It is 4 weeks. The first week is always, it's going to be your hardest week. I ain't going to lie. The first week is the week that it's a doozy for everybody. Yeah, November is there. And I think I'm going to have a December class too. So if you can't get into November, I think I'm going to leave it up and running, that particular class. The part 2 will probably be off and on. Okay. Part 2 will be off and on. It's a lot to dissect. Just like I tell people all the time, like that first part is something that we have to learn for the rest of our life. I still pull out my chart to this day and be like, ooh, I ain't know that. Now I find out something new all the time. There's a placement in my chart I think I learned this year, which makes sense on some other stuff. But this year I learned there was a placement in my chart that kind of made me like basically having healing power through my hands, which makes a lot of sense. Because a lot of the things that I do from my hands are like literally, I've made clothes. I do my art with my hands. Like I don't like doing art any kind of way unless I can put my hands in it or on it. When I'm making like my herbal blends, like I always have to feel like I'm hands on. So I noticed that my magic comes through my hands. As long as I can do it with my hands, I used to make jewelry. As long as I can do something that is tangible, that's one of my biggest gifts. So I realized that a lot of my gifts flow through my hands. So even my healing is supposed to happen through my hands. So be able to touch people, make you fall out. So the charts are really interesting. Like I said, you got all year. If you are enrolled in the class for October, I just highly suggest, because it's not my platform, it's someone else's platform, go ahead and download and print your information. If you can print it, cool. That way you can create your own little notebook and you'll have a Goddess Awakening notebook. But don't wait. All right. In your human design chart, when it says the center is undefined, can you explain? That means you're open. So this is the thing about when you have an undefined center. you're easier to take in certain energy. You're easier to be influenced by the energy outside of you, the energy that is connected. You find the link in, the link to my website is in the bio. If you click on the bio, the class, I just changed the label so people won't get confused. It says God is Awakening Part 1. God is Awakening Part 1. Okay. If you are already in God is Awakening Part 1 and you want to get in Part 2, then there's a God is Awakening Part 2. All right. So if you have an undefined center, so do you have an undefined center, like you still have pieces that are darkened and they're just not defined, or do you have them all clear? Because a lot of projectors are normally the ones that we have the undefined centers. And I can't remember if you were a projector or not. So if you have an undefined center, it's almost like I'm a projector. So that's why I'm able to do readings the way that I do readings. Because basically what I do is I tap into whoever's energy and I can feel everything that you're going through. I can emotionally and physically embrace and embody who you are. Okay, you're a generator. Yeah, so then that means like you'll probably still have pieces that are shaded in, if you know what I'm saying. Like you see how some of them have them shaded in on the middle, but because they're undefined, that means like certain things are a little easier to manipulate. You're not as rigid. So that's how you have to kind of look at it. You're not as rigid. Okay. And if you're not as rigid, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. Because sometimes that means that you're exposed to both the positive and the negative aspects of that undefined center. So think of it like your third eye. If the third eye is defined, you be very fixated on accomplishing or seeing things. Excuse me, accomplishing or seeing things from a certain perspective. Okay. For November class, and I am just curious to know what part 2 covers. Part 2 is going to cover, I don't suggest taking part 2 until you taking part 1. Let me say that. Part 2 is going to cover all the extra magical stuff. So like where I skimmed over like altar work, or what the importance of having an altar, or the importance of knowing certain deities and orishas. Part 2 is going to be about how to use who you are, because now that you know that, let's say you are a Libra rising, so how to use that information and work it in your herbal magic, your candle magic, that type of stuff. That's all I'm saying. We get into more of the metaphysical aspect in part 2. How do you use the information that you've learned about yourself and manifest in the real world? How do you really apply these tools? Because a lot of times we're learning stuff and we're not applying the information. Okay. So let me get back on topic. So the higher power section was all about, you're welcome, beloved. The higher power section is all about orishas, ancestors, deities, and all of that. It's part 2 starts November 1st as well. And it's only 2 weeks. So y'all don't have as long, but it's a lot of content in 2 weeks. So where y'all only would get 2 sections per week, it's going to be a little bit more. So it'll probably be like 4 sections per week. Okay. So the higher section is like, okay, look, boom. I talk about orishas more in detail because I deal more with the orishas than anything else. There's a couple of deities that I deal with that are not listed. Well, they're listed, but I didn't go into detail. But you have to figure out what you want to work with, or if you want to work with those at all, y'all. So if you decide that you don't want to work with orishas or deities or any extra entities outside of your ancestors, that is perfectly fine. Don't feel like you forced or you are pushed to operate in a certain capacity. Know that you have the capability and the leeway to say that I just want to deal with this, and this is, my first line of defense. That's all you got to do. If you even get that far. Some of y'all might just be like, I'm good with the information I get. I ain't trying to do all that extra stuff. You have to decide for yourself, what part do you want to do? What part do you really want to get involved with? Okay? There are so many dynamics that are outside of the orishas, which I listed. You have deities that are connected to voodoo or voodoo, to hoodoo, to Kemetic science, to all the different dynamics. So you got to decide what one you want to do. Okay? You have to decide which one, if you decide to go down that road. I have a deity that's on my altar that's from none of those dynamics. That's actually from the Cliff folks. She ain't really from the Cliff. Well, yeah, she kind of from the Cliff folks. But it's because that particular energy kept coming to me. And I know that's coming through my great grandma, because it was connected to the Irish side of my family. And it kept showing up. So I was like, oh, I guess I'm supposed to be honoring you too. She was showing up in my dreams and everything. I was like, oh, okay. So you have to learn how to pay attention, study stuff. Don't feel scared. Don't feel afraid. But the reason that I don't suggest that people get into working with orishas, deities, and all that extra energy until you really know yourself and you conquer your own fears, you conquer your own demons, you conquer the things that are in your mind first. Because this is how you create those portals and that energy that y'all don't be ready to deal with. If you haven't mastered your own mind, if you haven't mastered your own inner demons, it's like when you are getting ready to astral travel. There are certain gateways that you're not going to go through because you done created this whole scary ass scene before you can go through the gateway or before you can go through the portal. You don't want to do that. Master your mind. Use the Kemetic sciences or know what books are best. I don't really. Let me go through some books and see which ones I like the best. Now it depends on how you're looking at Kemetic. So Kemet, I look at Kemet as using more of like Metu Neter guides. So if you've heard of the Metu Neter, it's METUNETER. METUNETER. Volume 1. It gets into Aset. It gets into Hetaru. It gets into Asar. It gets into all of those energies. And it breaks it down. It's my favorite book. It has the tree of life in there. There is a lot of, literally a lot of information. And the reason I love that book, that it also actually shows you like Hetaru, Oshun, It'll show you the breakdowns of how that energy connects to other ones. So that's a great book if you really dive in and read from another aspect. Now that you kind of know how that energy works. The other aspect of that I love, I'm trying to think of another book that I feel like go into detail like that one. Sacred Woman even touches on Kemetic a little bit, ancient Kemet. So it just depends. That's a couple ones. Let me think about what books that I actually still have that I use on a regular basis. Because some books I don't use on a regular basis. Like some books I'll be like, they ain't talking about what I want to learn. So there's certain core books that I feel like gave so much information. Like I still pull out the Metu Neter and I'm like learning stuff. Yes, and you can still relate the Matunater to your chart as well. Another book that people be sleeping on and they don't realize he gets into a lot of information is Dr. Africa. Dr. Africa get into a lot of information. Actually, one of his books is going to be another course that I created that talks about the feng shui of your home. So one of the courses, I'm gonna actually try to upload it by December. It's about the feng shui of your home, the meaning and the psychology behind different dynamics, but also how are you supposed to set up your personal home? Because like I said, once again, we will learn these information and we don't know how to apply it. So I can show you within a house of my own house where I have certain dynamics and why I have certain things set up the way I have it. So knowing it, but it all come back to you knowing your own personal chart. If you know what energy you work with, if you know how you are powerful within your own dynamic, then it's way easier for you to manipulate and use this information. Okay. And now in my closing, the reason I felt it necessary to share that part with y'all in particular is because a lot of times we get on this journey and we be on fast forward. A lot of times we get on this journey and we'll have our foot on the gas thinking that we got to get to this destination. Don't do that. Nakia, which one? Matunater, Metuneter. Y'all, my house is loud. All the kids home again. All the kids is home. Everybody home this weekend, so it's gonna be a little loud. So, going back to the closing thoughts. The energy that I wanted y'all to really get is like there are phases that you're going to go through as you're going through those phases. Just acknowledging when you're going through them, because there's many phases, and those are just an outline. There are going to be so many. There's times where I hit phases even now that I get frustrated with, especially when you decide to open yourself up to the universe and what the universe has to offer you. There are things that will open you up, and then all of a sudden, like, you getting hit back to back with things that they want you to receive. And sometimes you don't have time to digest it. My biggest thing is be in a space that you are receptive and that you are taking your time and you're not getting frustrated with yourself, whether it's going too slow in your mind, you feel like you're not grasping everything the way you want to grasp it. When it is time, okay, you can see it from a certain perspective. You'll understand how to use that particular tool that they give you at that moment. Can Orishas be connected? There is a book called Numerology. I got it's in my book. I think it's Numerology, Deities in Numerology or something like that. And it does go into that. I don't yet necessarily use that method, but you have to do what works for you. If you find something in it that you can relate to and it seems to coincide with you, then so be it. I personally just don't use it because I like to use where I know I came in this world with certain fixed energy. If I know I came in under the sun sign of Leo, I know I have certain fixed energy that connects to like a Rumala. So because I know that now, it's easier for me to understand why I'm into divination. If that makes sense. Everything that's in my chart is crazy because the things that are dominant in my chart play more out in the latter part of my life. But my incarnation is also Heteru and Asel or Oshun and Yemiya. So I can see where that energy lies in my life as well. Yeah, there is a whole book. I'm gonna send you the book simply. The picture of the book. I'm gonna send you the picture of the book. There's a whole book that breaks down how numerology is connected to Orishas or deities in general. And I'm not saying that it's not possible. I just have not found as much. Like, I'm so like analytical. So for me, it has to make sense a certain way, if that makes sense. Like, it has to make more, I have to have more proof. I'm one of them people that I got to cross check it. I got to be able to cross check it and see other things that connect to what that is in me. That's just how I am. I'm a heavy researcher. So with the numerology thing, I haven't gotten too deep into numerology yet from that aspect. Which energy is connected to you or your zodiac? Now, my incarnation, I found out because I actually had an incarnation done, reading done. As far as the zodiac chart, all you have to do is look up your natal chart. And then there's a whole, like in the class, I believe I gave them the whole list of what deities are, not deities, which orishas are connected to what signs. So you have to look at it from, let's say you are Aries and you have Mars in your first house. That's attached to Ogun. And that's the warrior energy. So you'll know by looking up certain energies, what planet is connected to what. Jupiter is connected to Shango. So you're going to know by looking up who's connected to who. And even if you don't know it from those perspectives, like you'll know Zeus is connected to a certain energy. All you got to do is see who is correlating to that energy. So even if there's not a real chart that you can find, all you got to do is look up who is connected. What planet is connected to what Orisha? That's what you could put in if you're looking at it from an Orisha standpoint. Orishas and planets. Like Google Orishas and planetary or planets or Orishas and zodiac signs. And even with the Orishas, was something I talked about in class, is that we get so stuck on these Orishas that we've been told about that become more of, I call it the new age spirituality. We've always heard about getting African spirituality, or if you're dealing with any type of African anything, awareness. You've always heard about Shango, no matter what. Okay, we've been taught a lot of stuff from a very surface space, but there are over, and it depends on which branch of Ifa or Santeria or whatever you're dealing with. There are way more. There's over 400 plus, 700 plus Orishas, but we only learn about the typical Yemiya. Everybody want to be a daughter of Oshun. Oya. They don't even talk about Oba. Oba and Oya were sisters. They was like the dynamic duo. They was out here slicing people's head. They were like Isis and her sister. So it's like, it's the same dynamic. How like we'll know who Isis was, but we won't know who her sister was. And why they were calling those two energies to protect certain kings and pharaohs and all of that. Like, you have to like really, if that's something you choose to do just because you choose to do it, you have to really dive in and do your due diligence to earn. So does it depend on what house? Yes, I always tell you, if you want to see what deities or orishas are connected to you more, pay attention to your sun sign. Pay attention to your rising. So your sun sign and your rising will tell you a lot about what orishas are connected to you. What energies you came into the world with. Your rising gonna tell you what energy you came into the world with. So you might have came in, like my mate, he came in with Ogun energy. But he has a lot of Shango in him too. So there is an interesting balance that he has. So you have to pay attention. There's like you have to really look and know your chart. And then it doesn't hurt if you have someone that you trust or a community that you trust, that's not just trying to take your money. That's not just trying to get your coins. You want to make sure that you get an incarnation. That would be nice. And you could do, Sarah said it's a little bit easier to do incarnations with compared to some of the other societies to me. So you could do an incarnation and it's not this really heavy drawn out. You can do it with Ifa and some of the other communities as well, but just make sure that you're doing, you're paying attention to who you're using. Because some of these spiritual folks, I'm telling y'all, there's a lot of spiritual molesters out here. As Queen Neef like to say, it's a lot. So I don't want y'all being taken advantage of. Because 1 minute they'll be in there telling y'all that you got to get something taken off of you because so-and-so is over your head. And they want to do this long, drawn-out ritual ceremony. And it's going to cost you $3,000. I swear I be hearing the magic number be 5,000, 3,000. I be like, yeah, dog. To do what? Okay. When you got your guardian angel done, Ogun came out multiple times. Ashe. Yes, he is a great protector. I haven't did a lot of work with Ogun, though. I haven't did a lot of work with Ogun. Yes, look at what planets are in those signs. Depending on what planet is in that sign, you'll know. I think you asked me a question, was the first part and the second part together? No, they're separate. So you go through the first part. Once you complete and get your certification in that, then you go to the second part. All right. Any more questions from the students? Wow, I'm hungry. Like I ain't just eat. The biggest thing I want, like people who actually took the class 1, is for y'all to just really be focused on your growth, your personal healing, what you need to, how you can use your chart. So, for example, and I think I kind of mentioned this in the class, like, because I know I have a Chiron in the 7th house, which means that I learned my biggest valuable lessons through my intimate relationships and through my personal relationships in general. I always now operate with the energy of, what is this person coming to teach me? Because I have let's say Chiron in the sign of Taurus. That is there to humble your ass. That's what I say. Chiron and Taurus is there to humble you. Chiron and Taurus is saying, hey, you might be a little too connected to the material world, so I'm going to show you how this going to work. It's going to give you blessings all the time, but it's going to snatch it away in a loving manner. How are you being humble? Are you being a person that is too attached to the physical dimension? That's what I always feel. There, part 1 and part 2 are 2 different payments. So part 2 is, I think it's either $39 or maybe $40. I can't remember. Spiritual Babs question, as an Aries solar, is my personal energy vortex, the moon, for my Cap rising root. You went way too left for me on that question. What's your real question? Because it says spiritual baths. As an Aries sun sign is your personal vortex, your personal energy. Okay, yes. I'm sorry. I was like, I'm confused. What you talking about? Okay. No, yeah. Okay, what is the cost of the classes? The class, the 4-week class is $79. So the 4-week class is $79. And the part 2 class is 40. It's either 39 or 49. I'm sorry, y'all. Y'all have to go on the website. I don't handle none of it. I don't handle none of that. Grand Rising, beloved. Your Chiron is in Gemini. That's not a bad thing. That's just teaching you how to communicate. How to use. When I'm done. I'm not done. Close that door. Thank you. Okay. They are. Okay, my baby's on 20 already. If nobody else have any questions that's in the class. Am I a Scorpio ascendant? No, I am a Libra ascendant. So my focus is balance. I came this lifetime to experience balance. Which is funny because once I had my chart done by my actual mentor, I always use that word. Always. I always have used the word that I just want to be balanced. I just want. Now I have a lot of like strong Scorpio in my chart. I have a very strong Scorpio energy in my chart. You're welcome. Yeah, my Libra, and that's another thing. Like I've told them in the class, but pay attention to what your actual rising sign is. A lot of y'all will be like, I don't know what my purpose. I don't know why I came back. It's in your rising sign. That rising sign will tell you a lot about why did you choose to come back. So there's certain karmic access and there's certain dynamics that happen in your rising sign that let you know why did you come back. So for me, my karmic access, I brought the gifts to be able to make money in whatever I want to do. Basically, I can do anything. I brought many gifts, but my other two dynamics that I had to pay attention. So for me, this is the 3 dynamics that showed up really heavy in my chart. I'm a Libra rising, so that means last lifetime I regretted not having balance between my family, my business, my personal life, not the need to feel like I was not like I didn't have enough time to spend with everybody and everything that I wanted. So I came back this time to learn balance. I came back this time to be in my yacht energy. I don't do good with that sometimes. Oh, you're welcome, beloved. Like I said, my Chiron is in Taurus, but it's also in my 7th house. So it created the energy where I have to learn about knowing my worth, making people rise to my level, understanding how that if I pour energy into you, that you have to know how to reciprocate that energy back into me, and demanding that. So that's one valuable lesson. But then it also is in sign of Taurus. So I already told you that my karmic access makes me be able to figure out how I can get everybody to buy this crystal. I can come up with a whole page based off of this pyramid crystal and a business and show y'all how to do whatever. Okay. That dynamic makes money be able to come to me freely, or opportunities to come to me freely, but it's also being detached from it. So because I have Chiron and Taurus, it's like, no, just because you're able to do that, I need you to learn balance. I don't want you to be greedy. I don't want you to be caught up in the physical dimension. I don't want you to be so focused on how you're going to make money that you forget your spiritual self. And understanding that spiritual wealth has more value than financial or material gain. So, them was the lessons I had to learn this time around. So apparently I was some greedy CEO last time. Some greedy. I felt like I was greedy. I ain't had no balance. I was too focused on my career and not on my family in the previous life. So using these dynamics that show up in your chart, it's very easy for you to understand who you were before you decided to come back. I had to be somebody who was daggone caught up in the material world, daggone not feeling like I was balanced with my family life or my personal life, and didn't like to give back. So this lifetime, I'm focused on giving back. Do I have small? I do. I always have small animals too. I always like little dogs, or I've always had miniature, puppies. Now I have a rabbit. See, where you been? I got Isis. I don't know where she at right now. She hiding from the kids. Then the kids done traumatized her. So now I have Isis, my little bunny, my little Dutch bunny. You've been studying both your charts. Hold on. But since each one showed different ascendants, should I focus more on one than the other? Yeah, I'm still confused on yours. I honestly probably would study the one that your Chiron is on. Study that one. One and done. Make sure you study that one. You do need to come on my live more often. They say we got good luck with small animals. I don't know. When they're mine, they're good luck. The kids don't do good with them. My babies is not. They end up being my pet. Yeah, I would do the one that actually is your Chiron. So all my students, okay, since we're on our last one, this is the time frame, beloveds, that we will start scheduling your one-on-ones. So your final one-on-one needs to be coming up in this next week. The quiz will be released probably on, I'm going to give y'all all weekend. I know a lot of y'all are still finishing up some stuff. So the quiz will probably release either Tuesday or Wednesday. Okay. It's not that long. The final is like 20 questions. It's not long. It's only 20 questions. And then y'all should receive, as soon as y'all finished up, if y'all finished up all y'all segments, you should get your certification or certificate by the end of this week. What is the final one-on-one? The final one-on-one, I do a one-on-one consultation with all of my students. So they get one in the beginning and they get one in the end. Some people came in late, so they didn't get their initial consultation. But I normally try to see where you are at in your spiritual journey so I can see how certain things are going to apply to you. And then I do one at the end of the course so we can actually talk about how you digested the information, what I need you to pay attention to, and what you need to look forward to moving forward as you leave out of the class. Whatnot. A couple of other things we talk about. It just depends. If you sign up for the class, be ready to commit. I had a lot of people that signed up for the class and they paid for the class, and I'm like, but you weren't ready to commit to the class. Don't sign up for the class if you ain't ready to commit. I mean, y'all can sign up for the class if you ain't. Like, I'm not going to turn your money away. Let's be clear. I'm not going to turn your money away. But I do feel like if you sign up for the class, be committed to be a part of the class. Don't be in a space where you're not committed to doing it, to finishing it out. Yes, I need you to still, because you didn't get your one-on-one because you came in a little later. I still need you to do your final one-on-one, okay? So make sure you schedule it. And y'all could DM me or you can message me through the email. Either one. The class is God is Awakening. God is Awakening is about helping you understand who you are by using your natal charts, your human design charts, your moon, what moon you was born under, not your moon sign. You're using that too. But also understanding if you were born under a new moon, were you born on a gibbous moon, because that's your superpower moon. A lot of times we get caught up in the new moon is for this and the full moon is for this. But you really need to know what your moon is. When were you born? Because that's your superpower. So showing you how to use the information that are in your basic charts to know what your triggers are, to know the things that actually work for you and work against you. The one-on-ones, normally I want to schedule them within that first week of class. So that first week of class, as soon as it launch, I need y'all to be, I'll send you an email. I'll be like, look, I need you to, talk to me and let me know what your schedule is so you can get your one-on-one. Okay? The one-on-ones are usually 30 minutes minimum. Most of my, especially some of my students, we went like an hour talking. But it's at least 30 minutes. Okay, is the second part will be available later on down the line, like possible. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. What's needed? I'm glad you just said that. For people who actually have signed up for the class, the best thing that I say, come with an open mind, be ready to learn. Be ready to learn. It's content heavy. If you have a printer, it will be really good, or the ability to download it so you can keep the content with you. What I love, some of the students created, like, I don't have one in front of me, but some of the students had a binder that all their information is in there. Okay, so everything that's in the class, they printed it out, put it in there so they could make notes and keep track of everything. The cost of the class, the first part is $79. It's a 4-week course. You do have quizzes. It's a whole lot of stuff. The consultation is just consultation. So that's like my divination. That's if you want to read in, stuff like that. You say you accidentally tapped on this, but now it was no accident. Absolutely. The consultation is different. So consultations are different from the actual class. The class is actually listed as God is Awakening Part 1 or God is Awakening Part 2. Part 2 is only if you have done Part 1. Yes, $79. Honestly, y'all, there's people out here doing these courses for like way more. Like a whole lot more. I give you a lot of content for a very small price. And like I said, it's 4 weeks. It's a lot of content. There's a few videos that you'll hear me talking. So it's not just me talking. You're going to be doing a lot of reading and researching. It's like a real online course. Okay. The second part, I want to say is $39 or $49. I wish I would have checked before I came on here. I'm sorry. And then there's some other courses that will be uploaded later. Like we got a basics to spirituality. It's almost like a spirituality 101 where I get into, even though my part 2 babies, y'all are lucky because I do get into libation. I do get into like ancestor worship. I get into a lot of different dynamics that will be a part of the spirituality 101. But the spirituality 101 will be more, it's really centered on that aspect, on other stuff. Part 2 in Goddess Awakening is going to give you a more of a general idea of what you should be doing, why you should be doing it, what is the core foundation, and how you use, like I said, all the information that we got now. Yes, definitely have a folder. It's better because this information that I give people in this class is not something that you're going to just be like, you can't use it. You literally will be able to use this and understand, like when somebody say, boom, like tomorrow, we got a new moon in Scorpio. Do you even know where your Scorpio is sitting in your chart? And how you should be understanding how that energy is going to affect you in particular. Anytime there is a moon or a sign that is sitting in a certain energy, or a planet sitting in a certain energy, you need to know how that's getting ready to affect you. Okay? Inbox me anyway, simply. Let's talk about it. We'll work it out. Okay? All right, guys, let me get off of here because I think my babies are trying to go to a festival or something. So I need to figure out what the hell they about to do. Think they trying to go somewhere. Everybody keep coming to the door with the puppy dog face. With the puppy dog face. For those that are in the class, and if you have any more questions, y'all know y'all are welcome to inbox me. Please make sure that you inbox me what schedule works for you so we can start doing our one-on-one starting next week. All right. Remember that Mercury retrograde comes in what? Monday, Tuesday? That's all I'm gonna say. It's retrograde season. Be mindful. Don't pop off. Put yourself in timeout. We ain't doing no pop offs. All right. You're welcome, beloved. Y'all have an amazing day. Talk to you later.